Welcome in to the Punt and Pass podcast. I'm your host, Drew Butler, joined alongside by my co-host, Jake Fromm. Be sure to follow us on social media. We are at Punt and Pass on X and Instagram. I'm at Drew Butler. He's at Fromm Jake. Puntandpass.com, the number one destination for all things college football. October is wrapping up. We are headed towards week 10 of the college football season. And Jake, it's been one of the crazier college football seasons in recent memory for a whole host of different reasons. Of course, headlined by the absolutely insane coaching carousel that continues to go round and round. Yes, we have a new update in that regard. LSU has fired head coach Brian Kelly to add in yet another top-tier program that will be looking for a new head coach. The SEC was the only conference with ranked-on-ranked matchups in Week 9. We'll cover all of those results. Georgia had a bye week, as did Florida. They gear up for the world's largest outdoor cocktail party coming up this weekend. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that there is a team in our area that is undefeated so far this season. That, of course, would be the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. They moved to 8-0, Jake, and Haynes King is balling. He could be in the Heisman conversation. We're going to touch on all that. That's the reason why you're here. Jake, how are you, brother?
Hey, doing great. Yeah, crazy is an understatement. If you'd have told me undefeated Georgia Tech, Penn State job open, LSU job open, and
Florida,
Vandy, a really
Top
good
10.
Football team. I mean,
Crazy.
What's going on right now? Texas is trying to hold on. What's going on right now? But I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. Cannot wait to dive into it later on the show.
Yeah, Halloween is coming up this Friday as well. If I look like I've gained a little weight, the candy is starting to show up in the house. And as the dad, when you're cleaning up, you find a few pieces here or there, and they don't last that long. So once we get through Friday, maybe I'll get on a health kick before Thanksgiving. Once Thanksgiving hits, Jake, all bets are off. Like from Thanksgiving to after New Year's, it's just one huge whatever's in front of me, I'll eat it or drink it.
Dude, I'm trying to prep my body right now. I skipped breakfast this morning. The last 3 days before that, I skipped lunch. Man, I'm trying to lower my caloric intake any way I can because I know, man, weather's getting colder. Thanksgiving's going to be brutal. Christmas is going to be brutal. My wife with her baking blog from scratch, by the way, if you guys want to check it out on Instagram, she's killing it. I have stuff all over my house. And I love chocolate chip cookies, and she makes the best in the world. So I got to eat them.
I might need to be the judge of that. All right. Good to know. How's Caroline doing? We got a baby number 2 arriving soon, imminently, right?
Yeah, we're on baby watch right now the next 2 weeks. So, man, trying to get the house in order and, man, take care of all the things that we need to take care of in order to prep for a baby. So there may be a false sense of confidence going into it with this one because this is our second go around. Right. Number 2, another boy coming. So, we're just going to kind of roll the punches. I am anyway. Right. She's got all her T's in a row. So.
I like that. Saturday night coming up this weekend is when we fall back, so the clocks will go backwards. That means the sun goes down faster. That just tells you that winter is coming. One of the things that I caught myself doing last night after the NFL games wrapped up is I was watching 60 Minutes. Sometimes, when you're watching the NFL games at 4 p.m. and the 60 Minutes commercials come on, you either like what they're going to be bringing up or, I'm not that interested. But last night, 2 people that I'm highly interested in. One is Dr. Peter Attia. He's a longevity doctor. Yeah. It was a really, really cool one. I would tell you.
Have you read the book?
Check it out. Yeah, I've got Outlive. It's a great book that I keep in my office. But then Oz Perlman, The Mentalist, was the other one. I am like,
is that the big time guy?
Yes, he is the big time guy. And I mean, he's going through his whole process, how he got into mentalism, how he doesn't read people's minds, how it is truly like a skilled, trained form of magic. And I mean, he was freaking out, the CBS journalist who was asking him questions. Highly recommend everybody going to check it out. He's incredible. And I've got some friends. He actually was at a corporate event in Atlanta earlier this spring, and he was doing stuff at this corporate event, Jake, that would just make you sit there and go, how on earth is this even possible? Oz Perlman's the best. Hopefully I'll be able to run into him one of these days. But whenever I follow him or watch one of his clips on social media,
his clips,
absolute
unreal.
no-brainer. No question about it. Hey, this episode of Punt and Pass is presented to you by our awesome partners over at Solomon Brothers Jewelers. That's right. 3 amazing locations for you to choose from: Buckhead, Alpharetta, and Sharpsburg. The holidays are almost here. That's right. You'll blink and they'll be here. Head on into a Solomon Brothers Jewelers location. Tell them Punt and Pass sent you. You can get up to 10% off your jewelry purchase. It does not matter what your price point is. They've got something for you. You will be the winner of the holiday season if you go to Solomon Brothers Jewelers. Do it. Tell them Punt and Pass sent you. You can get up to 10% off your jewelry purchase. They've got jewelry. They've got diamonds. They've got accessories. They've got watches. Solomon Brothers is the best. SolomonBrothers.com, at Solomon Brothers on social media. And today's episode of Punt and Pass is brought to you by Humberto Injury Law. If you've been hurt in an accident and need a team that fights for you like we fight on the field, Humberto Injury Law is here for you. Humberto and his team know what it takes to win, and they'll stand by your side every step of the way. Visit HumbertoInjury.com to learn more. All right. Kirby Smart took the podium, Jake, getting ready for the Florida game coming up this weekend, coming off the bye weekend. I did see last weekend Rusty Manziel, our buddy who is on the board of the Georgia High School Football Hall of Fame. They had their induction ceremony over the weekend. Kirby Smart was inducted into that Hall of Fame. So congratulations to him. I'm sure all the coaches and players got some time to kind of kick their feet back, watch some football this weekend, and get healthy. But yeah, Kirby Smart, a new inductee to the Georgia High School Football Hall of Fame. Yeah,
I do want to have a little shameless plug opportunity for a good friend of mine named Kelsey Hollis. So she sent me a picture of her and Kirby. Nice little selfie, but she is very talented, and she sang the national anthem at that event. Cool. So that was awesome. That was cool, and got to see what was going on this weekend while I was completely checked out from Georgia football this weekend. But yeah, always get reminded. You never know what's going to pop up on the phone.
That's exactly right. Well, I'm hoping that a lot of those guys on the Georgia football team got the opportunity to check out. Now it's time to check back in as it's game week. The Dawgs are getting ready to head to Jacksonville for the annual Georgia-Florida game. Both teams, of course, coming off a bye, as is tradition. Florida taking the field for the first time since they fired their former head coach, Billy Napier. Billy Gonzalez is the interim head coach. Jake, the Dawgs open as a 7.5-point favorite. And one of the questions that Kirby got kicking off game week, coming off the bye week, was what does he want to see his defense improve on as we are now entering the second half of the season? Go ahead and roll it, Jared.
Obviously want to see improvements as the year goes along, but specifically for the defense, what improvements would you like to see from the entire group from now until the end of the season?
I think I'd start with tackling. I think at the end of the day, that's what defense is about, and good defenses have few missed tackles. And when you look at the 2 of our lesser performances, there were a lot of missed tackles. And the first thing you start with is that you've got to tackle well, which starts with being in position to make the tackle, not being out of position. But tackling well is key. Third down defense, I'd like to see us get guys in third and long because we're pretty successful when we get guys in third and long. But that starts with first and second down. And so it all carries over and it kind of all bleeds into each other.
I find an answer like that to be refreshing because I don't know, maybe in this day and age, Jake, of armchair quarterbacks and social media and anybody with a computer can act like they know how to break down tape. I'm not saying that any of us do that here, but football can really be simplified. And Kirby Smart is telling you that with that answer. Hey, we need to tackle better and we need to be better on third down. I love that answer because, you know, when I was being coached and as a punter, let's just say that way, and I can relate it to anybody listening that plays golf. You do not want a million different things in your head. That is called paralysis by analysis. You want to drill down to the simple things that when you do them again and again and again correctly, it gets better. Keep it simple, stupid. Kirby said we need to tackle better. We need to be better on third down. How do you be better on third down? You win first and second down. I like the answer, Jake.
Yeah, I do agree, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Keep it simple, stupid is the name of the game. Yes, that was a shot at defensive players all around the world. Hey, everybody knows if you're a smart guy, usually you end up playing offense. But yes. When you talk about tackling at this point in the season, I will say that is slightly concerning Normally tackling is an issue at the beginning of the season because you just don't have that many, live periods, any of those full speed reps. And then usually tackling comes up around bowl season, right? Because you go on this 4 to 3 week break between a live game, and usually the team that tackles best usually ends up winning the game. But at this point in the season, the tackling part of it is kind of concerning for me. He didn't say anything about pass rush. Obviously, he mentioned the third down defense of getting off the field. I think that's for everybody. Usually teams are going to be good third and long because that's just a statistics deal, right? It's just harder to convert third and longs, but I think pass rush needs to be thrown in there and get as many sacks as possible.
Well, what would help pass rush is third and long, getting them into obvious passing downs and then being able to affect the quarterback, which, Georgia has done in spots. They have not done it consistently. And I go back, and I think I talked about this a couple of weeks ago, but somebody had sent me a montage clip of the 2021 Georgia defense, which, of course, one of the greatest defenses in the history of college football. I mean, those guys were savages. They were literal savages, collapsing the pocket immediately, forcing quick decisions from the QBs. The QBs would make bad decisions. It was an interception. They were returned for touchdowns. They were flying all over the field for obvious reasons. It seems like, those types of defenses now are few and far between in college football. Maybe that's because of the proliferation of talent due to the transfer portal and NIL and yada, yada, yada. But nobody on this Georgia team has taken the onus of being the guy who says, hey, on a second and long or on a third down, I'm going to go get the quarterback. Will that come about in the second half of the season? It remains to be seen. If somebody wants to cement their legacy on this 2025 Georgia team, do that. Be the guy that's going to get the quarterback in situational football, and Kirby Smart will love you. The Georgia fans will love you, and you will directly impact the outcome of games. There's no doubt about it. On the flip side, probably the most promising story for Georgia has been the overall performance of the offense in the biggest games of the season, more specifically the play of Gunner Stockton, a first-year starter who, of course, played in the second half of the SEC championship game last year and then started in the Sugar Bowl. Kirby Smart was asked about Gunner's continued improvement throughout the season on his Monday press conference, Jake, and then he was also discussing what he'd like to see Gunner do in the second half. Play it, Jared.
Coach, ask about the journey that Gunner's been on this year, the improvements he's made from week to week, and still what you want to see from him the rest of the season.
Yeah, I want to see him continue to grow, take what the defense gives him, understand what we're trying to do. We give Gunner a lot of latitude and options in terms of the play call. It's more about putting us in the right play to be successful based on what they're in defensively, and don't think he gets enough credit for that decision-making process. Every play might have 2 to 3 decisions he has to make, and those 2 to 3 decisions sometimes determine the outcome of that play. And really proud of his growth. He's got to keep doing it and keep taking care of the ball. And when he does that, then we're a good football team.
That was an interesting answer as well, because he talked about all of the things that happen on every single play that Gunner Stockton doesn't necessarily get the credit for. I want you to kind of break that down for us, Jake. And then am I wrong in saying that we don't want to know what those things are? Because if it does go well, then we shouldn't know.
Right. Yeah, it seems like they're putting a lot on Gunner's plate, and that can be on first and second down and the run game of make sure we're running certain run plays that they like into certain looks. On third down, you may get a lot of options about certain passing concepts, maybe mix in a draw or run scheme or a screen. We've seen a ton of screens from this Georgia offense this year. So looks like there's a lot of on Gunner's plate and a lot for him to do in the decision-making part of it, right, man? Playing quarterback comes down to making really good decisions, high pressure, and very, very quickly. Gunner's done a tremendous job of that over the course of the season. It just seems like they just keep throwing more and more on his plate, figuring out what he can handle, because at some point later on the season, hopefully in the playoffs, that's going to matter big time. And it only takes 1 or 2 big third downs, 1 or 2 big plays to really change the course of the game. And right now the ball's in Gunner's hands, and he's balling and he's making really good decisions. And that's why Kirby says that.
So when you see that progression of him feeling more comfortable, able to withstand a lot of those requests pre-snap, hey, what are you doing? Are you getting this in the right play? Is that when Coach Mike Bobo, as the offensive coordinator, is saying, all right, we can put more on his plate? Is it helpful to kind of say you're handling this well, you can do more, or do you kind of flatline it and say, hey, you're doing a great job, let's just keep it right here for now?
Well, you got to test it. You got to test the boundaries a little bit. Sometimes, they'll pick a game and say, "Hey, we'll try to," and it just depends on what the game needs, right? If you're playing a defense that just gives you a ton of different looks, you don't know what they're going to be in. It can be a get out of jail free card for the offensive coordinator to say, "Hey, I'm going to put it all on my quarterback. Hey, here's 3 or 4 plays. This is what we want versus these particular looks. Go out and make it happen." Right now, it looks like Gunner's being able to do that. So as long as Gunner can continue to play at the level that he's playing on, making the right decision and getting into the right check, that's one part of the equation. The second part is actually executing the play. And right now he's doing both. So making the decision that starts with the pre-snap stuff and being able to execute is second. So it's easier for us to see the execution part of it. We don't know what goes in on the pre-snap side of things. It's tough for us to really tell that. Sometimes we can, but man, right now, as far as the execution part in the big time games that have mattered, right? Tennessee, for example, Ole Miss, for example, man, Gunner's gone toe to toe with these guys and really outplayed them.
Yeah, and had like some of the best performances across the country in those 2 games, winning, National Player of the Week awards, lighting up the scoreboard, not turning the ball over. It's been really, really impressive. I can't wait to see how he looks after the bye week, going down to Jacksonville, which is an interesting game. Of course, we'll break it down in much more detail on Thursday's podcast. But again, look, Florida does not have Billy Napier. How are the players going to respond? I'd be a little bit more worried if it was the week after. Now they kind of had time to ruminate on it, maybe inside the locker room. That decision has kind of, gone by the wayside. Billy Gonzalez, I don't really have a good beat on him as the interim head coach there. What to expect? I honestly have no idea. We'll get into that on Thursday's episode. Hey, Kirby Smart was asked another question that really hit home for me, but Drew Bobo took the stand during press conference on Monday, and Georgia rotates players week after week, so the media kind of gets a fresh perspective from a bunch of different guys on the roster. But Drew Bobo, of course, the son of offensive coordinator Mike Bobo. Coach Bobo was my coach at Georgia as well. And Kirby was asked about what it means to have legacy players at the University of Georgia on the football team. Go ahead and roll, Jared.
Kirby, we're going to talk to Drew Bobo in a second, but he's one of multiple legacies that you have here, sons of guys that you played with, that you were a part of. What's it like having those guys on the team, and what's it like coaching them and then talking to their dad afterwards?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of pride. It says a lot about the coaching staff and the community and the people that were here when their fathers played, for their fathers to be willing to support their sons coming here. You don't necessarily have to have a perfect experience to send your son here, but it certainly helps that you have a positive experience, because you wouldn't be sending your son there. And you find a lot of people across the country that are maybe disenchanted, maybe where they went to school, maybe something didn't go like they wanted to, and it's harder to get the son than it is if they went to school there. And there have been a lot of legacies come through, and we have not gotten them all, but we have gotten some of them, and I wish nothing but the best on the ones that don't come, and I wish nothing but the best the ones that we get, because I think it's important that, if your father or whoever, whatever guardian played here, that you have a positive experience if you come too.
I thought that was a really cool answer. Of course, I am a legacy. My dad played at the University of Georgia. The football team at Georgia is in a different stratosphere now compared to when I played at school. But, growing up, all I wanted to do was play at Georgia. And having that opportunity, Jake, as a student athlete, I think Kirby was kind of alluding to it. There's so much more than just the football when you are a student athlete at Georgia, the support staff that goes into it, the academics, just the tradition and the brotherhood that carries on past football, past your playing days, I think is what makes Georgia so much special. I know, Jake, you and I worked after the Ole Miss game. My former roommate Logan Gray was in town. Rennie Curran, who we work with on Saturdays, we were all part of the same signing class. Like, there is just that innate connection that you have, and having the opportunity now to go back with my dad, who works on Saturdays, and all of his teammates, and Kirby Smart. We're Letterman with Kirby Smart. There's something to be said about that. And I think when Kirby says, hey, at Georgia, you deal with a lot more of instances where dads or guardians have had a really good experience and they want their kids to go there, or the kid wants to go there, whether they do or don't. It all ties back to the University of Georgia, which, of course, I'm extremely thankful for. I just think it's really cool to hear that, and it's been awesome seeing Drew Bobo step into a leadership role because, hell, when I was in school there, dude, my freshman year was 2007. Drew Bobo was like 3 or 4 years old. I mean, it's crazy. It makes me feel so old. He was actually asked today, what was your first memory of the Georgia-Florida game? And he said, Drew Bobo goes, I don't know. I forget what year it was or who it was, but I remember watching the game and somebody forced a fumble and Georgia recovered on it in the end zone and won. That was 2012 when Jarvis Jones punched the ball out of Jordan Reed's arms as he was trying to cross the goal line. That was Drew Bobo's first true memory. My first true memory of the Georgia-Florida game, not a good one, 2003, when Georgia went into Jacksonville undefeated. Terrence Edwards, DG, my man Greeny, kind of sailed it over him. They lost the game. It was their first loss of the season. I remember I was devastated when that game happened, but really cool to kind of hear Kirby talk about Drew Bobo in that light.
Yeah, really cool. I think, I mean, obviously we're biased. I'm biased. I mean, I think my experience at Georgia was awesome. I think even now on the other side of things, on the other side of ball, and just kind of realizing, hey, what that Georgia network is really like, what it's all about, it's just been awesome, man. It's kind of like an extended family that you didn't really know you had. Everybody talks about it. Everybody says it's great, but until you kind of start seeing the fruits of that, you just don't know what to expect. And man, it's been awesome for me. And my first memory, that I guess that I remember, growing up as a kid watching the Georgia-Florida game, it was the fight that broke out after Georgia scored first.
Oh yeah,
that was back in the Stafford days, right?
Yeah, it's my freshman year.
That was a good one. That was a good one for me. I'm like,
rushing the field.
What's going on? Why are they doing this?
Classic. You're so right though. Around and that's what's being lost in college football these days.
Hey, just to make you feel old. That was 2007. I was born in 98. That would have been 9 years old.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, you're a young buck and I'm an old head. There's no question about it. That is what's lost though in college football now. These kids who just jump from school to school. You've got no home. And I feel thankful that I do have a home. And I love the University of Georgia. There's no secret there. All right, last thing here from the Kirby Smart press conference. I was watching College Game Day on Saturday, hanging out with the kids, Georgia bye week. We didn't have to work, Jake. Nate Bargatze, the famous comedian, was the guest picker on Game Day in Nashville. The show was awesome. Kenny Chesney was live. I'm a huge Kenny fan. Dierks Bentley performed. I'm a huge Dierks Bentley fan. But Nate Bargatze gets on there and starts pleading for Georgia commit Jared Curtis, one of the top recruits in the country, to come to Vanderbilt on the show. I thought it was crazy. Kirby Smart was asked about it today. Here was his probably expected response.
The comedian Nate Bargatze was making his pitch on College Game Day to get a high-profile recruit to go to Vanderbilt. Does anything surprise you in recruiting, or is that a new one for you?
No, I mean, I don't get caught up in it much, Mark. I don't look at the stuff like that and just recruit the best job we can and sell what we have and talk to the kids and communicate with the kids that we talk to and trust them for what they tell us and not get into gimmicks and propaganda stuff.
Yeah, I mean, pretty typical response there, but I thought it was interesting. I don't think he's going to decommit from Georgia and go to Vanderbilt, but Vandy ranked 9th in the country. Diego Pavia in the Heisman conversation, Jake.
Yeah, it was a big deal on the Twitter web, about him even going to this game. Like, why is he going? Apparently, one of his teammates getting recruited by Vandy just happened to tag along. I think it's crazy to get shouted out on College Game Day like that.
That's big,
whether or not true. I mean, this is just a total shot in the dark here. Apparently, guys on the set, kind of, hey, let's try to pitch this and make a bigger story out of it than it was. But I mean, just what are we doing with recruiting, man? There's no line to cross. It's just anything's open, man. It's all fair game, I guess.
And I love how, too, the coaches still have to play by the not being able to discuss recruits in public rule before they sign. Like that even matters. But, Mark Weiser said, hey, there was a specific high-profile recruit, and Kirby Smart has to kind of walk around it. I mean, like the NCAA even means anything anymore. I just found that to be a little bit funny. All right, we're going to get on to the Brian Kelly news and give you the scores from across the country from week 9. But before we do that, got to mention that this episode of Punt and Pass is presented to you by our awesome partners over at Solomon Brothers Jewelers. That's right. Go to SolomonBrothers.com or check them out at Solomon Brothers on social media. They have everything that you could possibly want or need for your diamond and jewelry and accessory gift ideas for the upcoming holiday season. It will be here before you know it. Stick around because Nick Constantino from Solomon Brothers is going to provide some awesome opportunities for Punt and Pass listeners to make sure that they win this holiday season. Go to a Solomon Brothers location. The showrooms are incredible. The staff is the best. The selection is unmatched. It's awesome. Take your significant other there. You will be the king. I promise you. There's no question about it. When you go there, you tell them Punt and Pass sent you. You can get up to 10% off your jewelry purchase. Diamonds, jewelry, engagement rings, accessories, watches. They have it all. Alpharetta, Buckhead, Sharpsburg. Solomon Brothers is the best. Again, go there. Tell them Punt and Pass sent you. You can get up to 10% off your jewelry purchase, SolomonBrothers.com. When we break down football, it's all about the details. Every route, every block, every read. Humberto Injury Law takes the same approach with their clients. They leave nothing to chance and make sure you get the outcome you deserve. Visit HumbertoInjuryLaw.com to learn more or call them 770-888-8901. 770-888-8901. Mi amigo Humberto, he's one for me. I promise you. That's why he supports our podcast. He can win for you as well if you've been hurt in an accident or on the job. Personal injury attorney, workers' comp attorney, the best in Atlanta. He's here, and he is there for you. HumbertoInjuryLaw.com. All right, big news broke out on Sunday. LSU fired their head coach, Brian Kelly. The coaching carousel continues to go round and round. Of course, LSU got blasted by Texas A&M 49-25 inside Tiger Stadium on Saturday night. This buyout reportedly around $53 million. Jake, you just sent me some breaking news that we do not know is true or untrue, but we'll give that to you in just a second. The governor of Louisiana was tweeting about Brian Kelly on Saturday night. Reportedly, the government of Louisiana got involved in the decision-making here as well. LSU also fired their offensive coordinator and play caller, Joe Sloan. LSU's open. Brian Kelly is out. This is insane. This is absolutely insane. Penn State open. Florida open. LSU open. Those are the 3 top-tier jobs that are currently available. A lot of people are saying LSU from a resources perspective, from a tradition perspective, probably the top job available in this cycle. But here's what I do want to mention. This is from Kari Johnson. I don't know how reputable this is. I did see it earlier as well. Jake, he says, from my sources with very close ties to the LSU athletic department and the LSU board of supervisors, Brian Kelly and LSU settled his buyout for around $20 million or around $30 million less than was actually owed to him, utilizing the, quote, morals code in his contract. Nonetheless,
I don't know, man.
He paid a boatload of money. He's no longer the head coach at LSU. Where do the Tigers go from here?
Then again, this is kind of back to the Penn State question, back to the Florida question. I mean, are they firing these guys with these massive buyouts without a good plan B? You know, they just think the market just has these guys. I mean, I'm going to be honest. From my point of view, I just don't think great coaches are just out there to be
grow
had.
on trees.
They don't. So where are you going to go? Who are you going to turn to? What are you going to do? You know, are you going to get into a Florida situation or an Auburn situation where hey, 9-3 is not good enough. And then you go and you try to make that fire and higher to get to 11-1, to get to the playoffs and make your push. But it just doesn't happen. The grass isn't always greener. I'm saying this as a Brian Kelly hater, to be honest with you. Like, I just never really been a fan, and especially at LSU. I just never thought that he was a culture fit there.
Yep.
But man, I don't know what LSU's going to do. You know, is even LSU the top tier job that's open? A lot of people think it is, but is it? I don't really know.
The question remains to be answered, and I'm assuming, the public will decide which job is the best based on who gets the quote unquote best hire. Going back to the buyout though for just a second, whether it is the $20 million or if it is the full $53.8 million, if it was the $53.8 million, Brian Kelly over the next 6 years would make $26,000 per day, or $808,000 per month for the next 6 years. To be bad at your job and get paid that much money is absolutely insane. The buyouts that are going around right now in college football is wild. Jared, go ahead and pull up from Bet Online what the current odds are. Ross Dellinger posted this. Here's what the current odds are for the next LSU Tigers head coach. John Sumrall leads the way at 3-2. That's the current head coach at Tulane. Tulane, of course, just down the road from Louisiana State in Baton Rouge. Joe Brady, who was the offensive coordinator for Joe Burrow in that magical 2019 season at LSU, he's at 2-1. He's currently the OC for the Buffalo Bills. Lane Kiffin. All right, this is the big name out there. Lane Kiffin seems like he's going to have his pick of the litter if he does want to leave Ole Miss, whether it be LSU or Florida. I don't know. He's at 4-1 here, according to Bet Online. Jake, I just don't necessarily see him as a guy that's going to leave, but the money just might make it impossible not to. And then a name that I think could fit really well at LSU is James Franklin at 6.
Really?
The guy's done it. He's performed in the SEC. He knows how to build a program. Like, look, he didn't win the big games at Penn State, but I think he could fit in. If we're talking about cultural fit, I think James Franklin is the type of guy that could take over LSU and have pretty relatively instant success. The other one, there's probably no better fit than John Gruden at LSU. That would be wild. He's at 4.
That'd be wild
on this board here. Any thoughts here? Because I do see one name as well that I think is going to get some serious offers, and if a school is not careful and reward him handsomely, they might be in some trouble, and that'd be Brent Key at Georgia Tech.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, what about Dabo Sweeney for one of these jobs that's open?
Dabo's at 50-1 on this board. Do you think that Clemson would move on from him? Do you think that he'd get an enticing enough offer to want to leave Clemson?
I think
Marcus
it just depends.
Freeman, another name, 25-1, current head coach at Notre Dame.
I think it just depends on the way it ends. I don't see Marcus Freeman going anywhere, but I think it just depends on the way it ends at Clemson. Like if they lose to South Carolina the last weekend or the last week of the college football season, who knows? John Gruden would be absolutely crazy. I think Rhett Lashley would be a bigger name if SMU had some bigger success this year as they did last year. But you still have guys kind of in the bullpen, right? You got Urban Meyer, that's kind of out there. You have obviously Coach Saban, but that's not going anywhere. Jimbo Fisher, right? These guys that are just kind of sitting and waiting, like, hey, what
would be a great one? I mean, wasn't he the offensive coordinator at LSU when Nick Saban was head coach? If you were the athletic director and you could pick anybody on this list or elsewhere, who are you hiring? If they couldn't say no,
If they couldn't say no, Nick Saban. But
even at 74, even at his older age,
he still got it in him, man. You can just tell the drive that he has. Even speaking of
anyway, Dan Lanning listens if they call him.
I don't think so. But for me, I would really go out. I would try to go out and get Joe Brady.
Joe Brady,
because
youth.
he has the pedigree of having success there. And just the huge 2019 season that they had. He's tried it in the NFL. He is currently under a great organization right now with the Bills, and so he's kind of seen it done a couple different ways from an NFL mindset. I think there's not necessarily the Bill Belichick approach that happened over there at North Carolina, but there is this soft blend, I think, of college football and NFL football that is going to be happening. And I think he could really turn that blend rather quickly and have a lot of success doing it.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, looking at this list right here, I think Joe Brady's a good fit. Lane Kiffin, I bet you they call him and at least talk to Jimmy Sexton around what would a package look like if he needed to be interested. Jeff Brom is a guy that I think might get the Florida job. Jeff Brom, the current head coach at the University of Louisville. He's a guy that has won everywhere that he's been. He's kind of brash. He's a great offensive mind. Watch out for him. I'm telling you, Brent Key. Look, Brent Key has he's commanded the respect of college football decision makers. I believe Georgia Tech is 8-0. The way that he carries himself, the way that the team around Georgia Tech has really kind of identified themselves week in and week out based on their head coach. I mean, that speaks volumes. So this, of course, is a highly interesting storyline that we will keep locked in right here on Punt and Pass. I mean, what's going to happen at Auburn? What's going to happen at Kentucky? What Florida State, are they going to hold on to Mike Norvell? And I keep talking about, what if LSU goes out and poaches a Lincoln Riley from Southern Cal? UCLA's still open. This coaching carousel is only going to get crazier, people.
I think there's a better possibility of guys getting, poached from these, really good spots. And obviously that's, kind of obvious, but, you said Lincoln Riley. I think that's a great, is Mike Elko happy at Texas A&M? That's a really good job. But I think it's like Eli Drinkwitz or Clark Lee at Vandy. Like they're on kind of this teetering verge of like, hey,
you want a shot?
Like I can only do so much at these two schools. It's really time to go shoot my shot. So we'll see what happens.
All right. No, I definitely agree. We'll keep it locked in right here on Punt and Pass. All right, let's recap what happened over the weekend. Texas A&M looks for real. I know LSU's defense is not good, but Marcel Reed, that Texas A&M offense, they kind of just imposed their will on LSU. They just dominated the Tigers in Death Valley, 49-25, which of course leads to Brian Kelly getting shown the door, a very lucrative door. But A&M, the number 3 ranked team in the country now, still undefeated in the SEC. The other team that's undefeated.
I was just thinking we didn't even mention Ed Orgeron.
Oh yeah. I mean, Coach O, I don't know what he's going to do, but maybe D-line coach somewhere else. I don't know if he's getting another head coaching opportunity. The other undefeated team in the SEC escapes on the road. Alabama beats South Carolina 29-22. Credit to South Carolina, man. They stuck in there. Lenore Sellers made some plays when he needed to. The defense stood up in a big way as well, really limiting Alabama from big plays. They bowed up in the second half. I don't know what happened on that game-winning touchdown by Alabama. I thought for sure South Carolina was going to hold them out of the end zone, force them to kick a field goal, and have a chance to win at the end of the game.
Well, it's not. I mean, you could argue that was a really smart play by the corner safety there, because after he gets the first down,
let him score.
Is
that what you're saying?
Yeah. The game's essentially over, because you take a knee, you center the ball, and you kick the field goal to win. So I mean, really, it's a smart play, and you gave yourself a chance to go back and tie the game. So you can kind of get into all the analytics about that, but I think really that was a smart decision by that guy, and something they obviously said on the sideline, and they made it happen, and they got their shot, and they just didn't make it happen. They kind of fell on their face doing that, but analytics, I think, would say let them score.
Get the ball back and see what happens. So Alabama heads into their bye week, as does LSU without a head coach. They, of course, will face off against one another on November the 8th. That game is at Bryant-Denny Stadium. How about Ole Miss? I was wrong on this game. I thought Oklahoma kind of just had an advantage being at home, an early kick. Ole Miss coming off that tough loss to Georgia, all the noise around Lane Kiffin. Will he stay? Will he go? Look, they played a hell of a game. They beat Oklahoma on the road 34-26. Ole Miss is a playoff team.
Ole Miss is definitely a playoff team. The way that they bounced back, responded after that loss against Georgia, and they were just able to do it and keep on rolling with it. Lane Kiffin, addressing rumors apparently with his team this week. I mean, that shows a lot of maturity and shows maybe there's some truth to some of these. I have no idea, but they found a way to focus for the week, and I really want to see Ole Miss kind of have some success and get into the playoff. They've been so close for so long, and I think if they fall short a little bit, I think that would be something that pushes Lane to go try it elsewhere.
Oh, interesting. How about Texas? They were down 17, fight their way all the way back to overtime and beat Mississippi State on the road 45-38. Not sure what's really going on with Steve Sarkisian, Arch Manning, the Texas Longhorns. I've been saying it all season long. I think Mississippi State is sneaky good. Georgia's going to go to Starkville after this weekend, so that's one that we'll run our radars up on. I want to go quickly to this next game, and then we have to spend some time on Georgia Tech as we wrap this up. Vanderbilt beat Missouri at home 17-10. Vandy is now the 9th-ranked team in the country. Mizzou was ranked 15th. Vandy was ranked 10th. Credit to Diego Pavia, man. They're doing things right. And Vanderbilt, they look like they could be in the playoffs too, Jake.
Yeah, this is just absolutely crazy. What's going on with college football, right? Georgia Tech, Vandy, seemingly looks like they're going to get playoff spots.
Vandy goes to Texas this weekend. That's going to be a fun game.
And they could definitely beat Texas the way they played against Mississippi State. Absolutely.
No doubt about it. Pavia in the Heisman talk as well, which leads us to the last game we'll talk about. Somebody who's definitely starting to get Heisman love now is Haynes King, the quarterback at Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech on their homecoming, they steamroll Syracuse 41-16, and Haynes King 25 of 31 for 304 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. Oh yeah, and 12 carries, 91 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. Look, they haven't played anybody. I'll just say it. There's a reason they moved back a spot in the AP rankings because they have not played anybody, but they are pounding teams. They're beating the teams that they're supposed to. They're taking no prisoners, man, and Haynes King is a baller. You got to give him full credit.
Yeah, Haynes King is what everybody thinks Diego Pavia is.
Yes.
And it's just a great way to put it. Yeah, and all the media, all the push, it's on Vandy for whatever reason. Haynes King is for real, man. He's what's making that ship go over there at Georgia Tech. And man, just watch out later in the season because the way they're playing football, the gritty, the style, late in the year when it gets cold, I'm telling you, it's going to be a difference maker.
All right. They are at NC State for a night game coming up this Saturday night, 7:30 p.m. on ESPN2. So that will be one of their 2 remaining road games. Georgia Tech, undefeated, top 10 ranked. Haynes King in the Heisman conversation. You got to give him credit. There is no doubt about it. Hey, this episode of Punt and Pass presented to you by our awesome partners over at Solomon Brothers Jewelers. Check them out online, SolomonBrothers.com, at Solomon Brothers on social media. 3 amazing locations for you to go visit: Buckhead, Alpharetta, Sharpsburg. Tell them Punt and Pass sent you. You can get up to 10% off your jewelry purchase. Rings, engagement rings, diamond necklaces, jewelry, earrings, watches, accessories. They have it all up to 10% off when you tell them Punt and Pass sent you, SolomonBrothers.com. Remember, Humberto Injury Law is your first call when accidents happen. Don't wait. Visit HumbertoInjuryLaw.com today. Humberto Injury Law, protecting people, fighting for justice, winning results. 770-888-8901. HumbertoInjuryLaw.com, the #1 personal injury and workers' comp attorney in Atlanta. Jake, anything on the way out, my man?
Yeah, Florida Hate Week has started. It's going to be a great week. Cannot wait for the game to get here this weekend.
All righty. Follow us on social media at Punt and Pass, at Drew Butler, at From Jake. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Have a great week, everybody. We will talk to you on Thursday. See ya.
We out.